Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
It's the Tech Mobility Show, your program for mobility and technology news, information, and perspective.
We're looking for a phone.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me as always is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we're discussing the horror... I mean, it's 20 years old, so I can't call it a new horror classic. Wrong Turn, starring a lot of actors.
90s. It has a 90s vibe.
It does have a 90s vibe. It's like a 2003 movie that has a lot of people who were vaguely successful around 2003.
I literally recognize one person.
There's Elijah. I keep calling her Elijah. Alicia. What the hell's her name? Eliza Dushku is her name. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Jeremy Sisto was big on 6 Feet Under. He was on.
He was so good. He was so good. Not so good here, but really good 6 Feet Under.
Desmond Harrington, you might remember if you watched Dexter about this time. He was Detective Quinn, who was a co-worker, but also kind of suspected Dexter of doing some shit.
I thought he looked familiar, but I did love Dexter back in the day.
Dexter was good. Emmanuel Shrieky, I usually don't go through the entire cast. She was big in Entourage. She was E's girlfriend about this time.
So we've just skipped all the way to the end, and we're just discussing the cast now and what they've done.
I'm just mentioning it because they were all working actors about this time, and these were all things that they were doing. So.
Well, of course they're working actors. Here they are. They're actors and they are working.
But I mean, in more successful properties, if you will. Sweet Jesus. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what are you up to? What's the latest?
Oh my God. My brain is mush. Have you ever like done paperwork, but your brain is just kind of doing it on its own and you're not fully aware and functioning? Like
Absolutely.
things are happening, and then
Hopefully they're
later
being
on
done
you're
correctly.
like later on you're like, what? I sent an email about somebody to two different people, and then I realized they don't even know who this person is. I was like, I don't even know what's happened today. It's
We're
all
getting
like on
old is the moral of the
autopilot.
story. Yes.
It's like if you're on a long drive, but you've driven it 100 times, and then all of a sudden, like you're disassociate, and now
Yes.
100 miles have passed. Well, that was work
Yes.
today.
Which
All of a
is
sudden,
more
it was time
dangerous.
to go,
Yeah.
and
Well,
somehow work had been done.
you have students, don't you? So you're just on autopilot with students? Staring into space, drooling.
It's the first 30 days, let me just tell you. It's mostly paperwork.
It's mostly paperwork. That's what they say.
Yes.
Sweet. I'm sorry to hear about it. Good Lord. I have to go back on Friday for the first day. And I'm still kind of sketchy on what I'm teaching. Am I teaching a couple periods of computers? I don't know. Is it something else? Who knows? Hopefully it'll all be figured out before students are actually walking through my door. But no
Come
promises.
to the high school with us. Come to the high school.
Sweet Jesus. Now, Aaron, Wrong Turn, you actually suggested this movie, which was shocking to me.
It was shocking to me too, because I was Googling like lesser known, like fabulous horror movies, and this popped up. And I vaguely remember the name somewhere.
Okay.
So it's my bad.
It's your spoiler alert. I swear to God, I know I saw this at the time. Part of me
rented it.
It's possible I saw it in the theater. It's possible I saw it on cable. But I absolutely saw this a handful of times, around like 20 years ago.
A handful of times.
Maybe 2 or 3 times. Let's not get carried away. A few times. Maybe
50, 60 times. You and
30,000 times. Because I remember certain set pieces from this. When you suggested it, I immediately go, oh, yes. I remember the watchtower in the forest. And a few other things like popped into my brain that I was like, oh, yes, I remember this movie. I remember the actors who were in it for the most part. But what's interesting is they made like 6 sequels, including
cheap.
and 2 reboots over the last 20 years. They rebooted it in 2021. Wrong Turn yet again. Yet another wrong turn.
Okay, here's my review.
Please.
First of all, it was not an original idea.
No.
It is The Hills Have Eyes. It already is a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
It is clearly The Hills Have Eyes plunked into West Virginia.
Okay. So is that your 30-second synopsis? Or do you want to add a little flavor?
I'll add some Flavor Flav.
I mean,
it's the same thing, but not as funny. They're trying to throw some Deliverance with that chicken head dude running around. And then I got excited because I saw Henry Rollins, but apparently he was in part 2.
Correct. That is correct. Yes, it is very much. Somebody compared it to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Part 2.
Part 2 meets The Hills Have Eyes meets Deliverance. Like it was definitely that's what they were going for, right? But we both have seen this, but it's been years since either one of us have seen this movie, correct?
So we're rolling right in. So yeah, my 30 seconds review is it's not as fun as the original Hills Have Eyes, but it's basically just a ripoff. Instead of desert dwellers, it's mountain folk. And I'm sure this is very popular with the folks in West Virginia. With some inbred hillbillies, but at least in Hills Have Eyes, it's like a nuclear testing zone. We're not sure what's happening here. And they all appear to be men.
Well, if you're watching in the opening credits, there's like newsreel footage. There is like old newspaper clippings about inbreeding, about how when people are inbred, they all get cleft palates and superhuman
And I
strength,
saw that.
hunchbacks, and
I think when you reach a point when you're down to 3 guys, just by the nature, you need to get like a hillbilly wife.
hillbillina or something like that.
Hillbillina. And once again, they're very wasteful with their cannibalism. I would think with all these women, instead of just, putting their bits in a jar, you might want to procreate. Or you'd expect some rapey McRape.
Right. You'd think something along those lines would. But, I mean, we're assuming they're 3 dudes. Maybe they're just hideously deformed brothers and sisters. We don't know.
They are 3 dudes, but maybe, there's no embrace like that of my brothers. I don't know. There's no sweeter touch.
It's almost like you're quoting something you've read. As they say, there's no sweeter touch. Good Lord.
I'm quoting myself, as a matter of fact. I'm quite poetic. But what is their scavenging stuff? I mean,
yeah.
what are they
setting
scavenging?
Traps. They're setting traps.
They need a chop shop. They get rid of all these expensive cars. And why are there so many expensive cars going down Hillbilly Holler?
That is a question. That is a question. Okay. Oh, Lord. Well, before we get started,
this is a morals tale. There is a moral to the story.
Do you? You think there's a moral of the story? What's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is don't be a jackass when there's a traffic jam. Just take a breath and relax, because this is what road rage gets you.
Stay in traffic for 2 more hours while they clean up.
Stay in traffic. Would you rather stay in traffic for 2 more hours or get diddled by mutant hillbillies?
It is a question. I often wonder.
If he was just a little bit more chill. I mean, he was pissing truck drivers off. They're like, go back to your fucking car.
Well, they hated his guts.
If you're just, of course, we all do. But if you're just chill, none of this would have happened.
Let me ask you this. There is kind of this this horrible stereotype of kind of the inbred mountain man, which seemingly, there's folklore told in the United States of like the South, creepy freaks that live in certain areas. I wonder if there's like an equivalent in other nations. You know what I mean?
Remember the movie The Village?
Yep.
Eventually, this is what would be left over of The Village,
100%.
After time pass.
But do you think?
I mean, you live in an isolated area. Your gene pool is minimal.
No, I understand. But do you think in other countries they also have like, man, that section of this country is just loaded with inbred hillbilly equivalents? Or is that,
I don't know about hillbilly equivalents, but definitely different countries have sections of their own country where they're just like rolling their eyes. Northern Italy and Southern Italy. The people in the north think the people in the south are lazy. They think they're breaking their backs to support them. So
no, that's all true.
But that's all true. But that has nothing to do with inbred hillbillies. So you're asking if the tale of mutation,
yes,
is American centric.
Well, you know what I'm saying. If this was a story, if he takes a wrong turn in like the inner city, right? Oh shit, I'm in Detroit. This is a bad neighborhood.
Leprechaun in the Hood's going to get you. So that's a mutant.
There's that.
Still the United States.
But what I'm saying is if weird inbred cannibals came out of some house, that would be kind of a bizarre, jarring thing. Be like, whoa, that's weird. Are you going to give me some backstory? Whereas if we say
we do have non-mutant cannibals, serial killers that live in cities.
Okay, like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I mean, there's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Correct.
He was not a mutant.
But this is a stereotype.
I don't
this
know what's
is
going on the inside.
That is true.
You're talking about the mutant inbred hillbilly of our deep south and our
correct.
I don't know,
specifically
rural
yes.
Our coal miner daughter, if it's Loretta Lynn's late cousin or something. That's
correct.
What you're asking?
That's specifically
and do
what
any
I'm
other
asking.
countries have also a similar lore?
We may not. There may be no answer to this question.
And what is it based on?
Well, I know for The Hills Have Eyes, that story is based upon actually a Scottish folklore about, what was his name? He had some kind of weird name, but it was like a weird inbred hillbilly mountain folk that would murder people and eat them. So I guess that answers the question. It is not uniquely, the deep south here in the United States.
Well, that was like a clan. That's
right.
different than us just assuming that people in West Virginia are hillbillies.
Which I don't uniformly assume that. Aaron may disagree.
That are also mutant.
Well, they're mutants because of the inbreeding.
I looked up Deliverance. That was actually not in West Virginia. I think
that's Georgia.
Georgia,
yes,
and parts of Tennessee.
Well, it was in Georgia. The Deliverance. There's 4 guys from Georgia. They're like from Atlanta. Go on a boating trip in the wilds of Georgia, and are confronted with other members of their state. You know what I mean? It's not like New Yorkers come to Georgia to go whitewater rafting or whatever. And
those dudes were weird as hell. It wasn't just that they were rapey McRapes. They were also freaky McFreaks.
They were the inbred, toothless, banjo playing. Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of toothless, this is why you know that dude was an asshole, because he asked for direction and a dude with only one single tooth.
One goddamn tooth hanging down.
One tooth did not tell him not to take that road.
Well, is he in on it? Is he in on it?
Maybe that's a cousin.
That's the question. That could be a cousin.
Well, no. Here's why I don't think he's in on it.
Okay.
Because when he sees the truck pull up, he doesn't see who's in it. He closes all the doors. He's hiding from those people.
Maybe so. Maybe so. So why don't we jump right in to the highlights?
In my 1-minute search on the history of mutant hillbillies, all I get is 10,000 other movie suggestions.
Of course.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay. Please post it on your blog.
I'll post it on my rant.
So I found it interesting, jumping right into the plot, that the first 10 or 15 minutes, we follow this one dude in his, Ford Mustang, who's late for an appointment, who gets stuck in traffic.
Job
interview, gets stuck in traffic and decides to take back roads. And it's just one dude by himself. And because he's not paying attention, fiddling around with his CD player.
See, that's why they had to make CDs illegal, because look what happened.
But so he gets into a crash where he hits 6 other people or 5 other people, his same age,
your insurance is canceled.
Oh, better believe it. Same peer group, not really, but they don't know each other, but the same age group or whatever.
Right.
So my question, it was just an interesting choice to follow this one dude and have him, I'm going to take these back roads, and then just stumble upon the rest of the cast.
Honestly, and I've seen these douchey dudes in Vegas.
Right.
If he can flip the whole car around and get on a dirt road, why doesn't he do what I've seen in Vegas, where people just start driving on the soft shoulder?
Drive on the shoulder.
The accident.
Yes.
I was like, that's what I was expecting him to do, not go to a dirt road on my Mustang. Well, the dude literally told me it was a dirt road.
He did. He said, why is this line dotted? It's a dirt road, with his one tooth. It's a dirt road. He's like, I'm going to be late for this interview, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. My question is, why do you think they started with him separately? Or why not just make him part of that group? Right? Why aren't they? Isn't he just with them?
Doesn't make any difference to the story.
Does it? Right. Because, there's one thing to be like, we don't know him. right? We don't know if he's involved because later the cannibal mutants running around. We don't know if he's involved. Go ahead.
It gives you a couple extra moments of suspense. Like when you crash into it, you don't know if that's a hillbilly crash.
Right. I guess when you
don't
sit down,
know what that is. You don't know if that's, something bad's going to happen. But so as soon as he crashes, it makes you wonder, okay, so what next? So it just adds to the limited tension here.
Well, we've already established that there's mutants, cannibals on the loose because there was that quick mountain climbing scene.
And we have to say the opening credits lasted for about 20 minutes. It just kept happening.
Right.
I was like, is this still the freaking credits?
Well, because that's the thing. We haven't talked about this. In the last 20 years, they've basically gotten rid of the opening credits, right?
Yeah.
They've gotten rid of it. They just, because they figure this is a TikTok generation, we got to just get started.
And it used to show it all at the end anyway.
Well, they do what they do by law, like basically not by law, but they basically have to show 2 sets of credits at the end because you have to show 2 credits. So you have the kind of, artistic with images and there's like cast photos while they're showing you, oh, it's so-and-so plays this role. They do that. And then it cuts to just the slow crawl.
The slow crawl.
Where they do it again.
Who's the grip? Who's the best boy? Who does the catering?
They start with the cast again, but just in the crawl because you have to do it twice. But they used to do once at the beginning. And I mean, if you watch a movie that's over or maybe even 20 years old, it all starts with opening credits.
Right.
And now they don't do it anymore. But because it's so long because you're supposed to be reading the fine print about how
I was not.
If you are inbred, not in addition to being, gap-toothed hunchbacks, you also have super strength and a taste for human flesh.
And a taste for human flesh. It's another one of these things. It's just like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes. All these disappearances, and the state of Texas just can't figure it out. Well, guess what? The state of West Virginia can't figure it out either.
They can't figure it out. But that's my question to you. If you are somebody from West Virginia.
50 people are missing. Whoops. No helicopters, nothing.
But are you offended if you're a West Virginia person going to see Wrong Turn going, what the why is it us again? Why are we always the hillbilly mutants?
Trust me, they're very sensitive. But they have John Denver. They have that Rocky Mountain. No, that's the Rocky Mountains.
That's the other
almost heaven, West
Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains.
Shenandoah River.
Okay, I have to talk about this song for 20 minutes. Number one, the people who wrote it, I don't know if I told you this, the people who originally wrote the song were half the vocal group, the Starland Vocal Band, who wrote Afternoon Delights. Yes. Isn't that interesting? It's interesting to me.
And why did they give it to John Denver? I thought he wrote all his shit.
He actually, he's like Barry Manilow, where it's like you think they write all their shit, but really they contribute occasionally to some of their songs.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I know. I started thumbing through like my favorite songs. I was like, holy shit, he didn't write those.
He didn't write any of them, right? So they wrote it, and if you listen to the recording of "Take Me Home, Country Roads," they're actually singing backup on the song. So it's like, I guess he was a bigger star, and they were writing it for somebody else, and he said, "I'll take it."
I thought he was from there.
And none of them had ever been to West Virginia when they wrote it. And at one point, it was going to be not West Virginia, it was going to be Massachusetts because it has the same number of syllables.
Almost heaven, Massachusetts.
See? And if you the landmarks that he mentions in that song are closely signifying just Virginia, not even West Virginia, generally speaking. So there you go.
But one of my good friends lived in Virginia for many years, and she often talked trash about West Virginia. So I think it's a thing.
It's a thing.
She's like,
But-
not West Virginia. We're not West Virginia.
When I was in Europe, I met a couple girls who were from North Carolina, and I once accidentally said South Carolina, and they act like I smacked them. They're like, we're North Carolina. Don't make those mistakes. I don't know if South Dakota and North Dakota give a damn, but
yeah, exactly. And I mean, the Carolinas split. I understand that, but the Dakotas. Why can't it be like Marvin Land and Dakota?
Marvin Land.
Why does it have to be North Dakota? Those are the two choices.
I understand why they chose it. Well, my question is, why don't we just have one Dakota? That's what we should have.
Why not? Well, we have Dakota Fanning. So
Dakota Fanning, absolutely.
We
Dakota
only have
Johnson.
one of her.
Right? Sweet Jesus.
Did you see Ben Affleck and J-Lo are getting divorced again?
Yes. The issue is Ben Affleck has a lot of issues, but he's basically kind of a private person. And J-Lo just wants to be on the red carpet, schmoozing, rocking it out. And they're just very different. That's why they broke up the first time.
I thought it was the gambling is why they broke up the first time.
It was gambling and the drinking. There was a lot of issues going on.
Maybe the issues continue. Interesting. So we didn't know that he's private from the first time we were married, and then the second time we were dating.
Oh, I mean, this was definitely a rebound situation where they both had kind of left like long-term relationships to kind of be like, let's give it one more try.
I liked his last wife. Who was his last
Jennifer
wife?
Garner. She's great. She's
who doesn't love Jennifer Garner?
Or Jennifer Garner.
Affleck, apparently.
Apparently. Anywho, sweet Jesus. So they're all. What did they established that the hillbilly trio leave like barbed wire on the road of their backcountry dirt roads.
It's like they're fishing.
They're absolutely there to, and you see over the course of the movie, there's like you said, like basically a junkyard of old cars. And if you looked, there's like cars from there's like a Model T out there. So clearly this is like a family.
Right.
They've been doing this since way back when.
But then later on up the hill, there's a whole other parking area where they've just ditched these cars and dug through it. Boy, you take that shit to the chop shop, you can eat food that is not just, toes.
Well, and the thing that was interesting, they stumble upon the cannibals' hideout, not realizing there's even cannibals. They're just like, we got to get a phone. They stumble upon the house, which seemingly has electricity, indoor plumbing, right? Because there's literally not an outhouse. There's just a porcelain toilet in one of the rooms they stumble in. And one room they walk in, there's multiple refrigerators. Right? I mean, is that running on coal? I mean, how are they doing this out here? And
then the electrical went out. And why would you walk away into the unknown versus back the way you came?
These are good questions. I don't know. And they basically, they have like a tow truck, the cannibals, that after they wreck your car, they tow it to one of these like lots or whatever. So these, I'm assuming these guys are driving into town every now and again to fill up the tank. These guys?
but it's just Toothy Joe.
They're all fucked up.
What are they? I mean, they don't have any money. I mean, I guess they have a little bit of money from people they rob.
No explanation.
Dude, no explanation.
No.
Yeah. You figure after all these years you could expand or sweep or do something.
Well, I mean, and the other thing is that when Homie at the beginning of the movie looks at the map to try to find the way over to Raleigh for his job interview, you could see there ain't shit for hundreds of miles, basically. It's like when they later in the movie, when they go up in the tower, it's nothing but just woods all the way. Like, there's not a town, there's not a road. There ain't nothing. So I don't know where they think they're walking to.
Yeah, I don't know where they think they're walking to. It's like being lost in Death Valley. You're gonna be walking till you dead.
Till you did. Now, I guess it was just bizarre coincidence that two groups of cars crashed into each other on this one lane dirt road in the woods. So that was a
I
good time.
feel this is a very popular place for people who like to travel dirt roads with expensive cars. It's the place to be.
And we're supposed to think at the beginning there's like a young couple going on like a mountain bike or a mountain climbing trip, weekend trip.
Right.
And here's another like group of people going camping. Just like, don't they plan? Don't they go to like campsites? Is it literally just, I'm going to find a desolate forest and just go camping there? Is that the plan?
With no food and no water.
Right. No food. Because there's a scene when the rest of the other four go off to get help where they're scrounging like they've been there for a week.
Where's my Luna bar?
Right. And nothing there. Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't make any effing sense.
She finds one half of a peanut butter cup and does not share it with the guy she just gave a Hummer to. That was a crazy moment as well.
She's already shared too much.
They are. Oh, sweet Jesus. The four of them are like, we'll go get help. The two stoners stay back, and the chick's just like, what was her reasoning? She's like, if I give you a BJ right here on the side of the road, then, probability suggests that somebody will walk in on us. So,
there you go.
Was that was the thinking?
Well, or running naked down the street.
Why not?
I mean that's the same thing. If I take a shit in the middle of the road, her mind just went to a certain place.
If we need help, so therefore, if I do this shit, then somebody will stumble upon it. Well, you know what? She wasn't wrong, because 2 minutes later, dead meat. Adios, muchacha.
She rubbed Aladdin's lamp the wrong way.
I'm a genie in a bottle. 100%. Well, her boyfriend disappears, and all she finds is just the ear.
Which always reminds me of David Lynch. I was like, that must be an homage to David Lynch. Always,
because we don't see his body ever. All we do is see one ear. Right? In the woods. And then the girlfriend
where did his body go? Because they took back one of the girls. Why wouldn't you smoke it like a West Virginia ham or something?
It seems like that's what they're doing. When we see the inside of their shack.
Jars.
There was all sorts of shit. There was Tupperware. Like the one dude, oh my God, that scene. Where the one dude is like, they're walking through there, they're like, we need to find a phone. Place obviously doesn't have a phone. This place is a fucking grade A shithole. You know what I mean? There's just crap everywhere. But of course, they have to explore every room. Let's look in the toilet. There's a body decomposing in the tub for God knows what reason. But the dude goes into the kitchen.
It.
Yeah, 100%. They added some teriyaki or something to the bowl. When he opens up the fridges and sees all this shit.
Wait, let's back up for a second.
Go ahead,
I'm
please.
sorry. You wouldn't smell it before you saw it. You would have smelled 100%. That outside of that old rickety house.
100%. You would have been like, I ain't going in there. There's a funky funk.
And I found it ridiculous. They're going mountain biking, and she's demanding for a toilet. Where was there going to be a toilet where they were going? You couldn't pop a squat somewhere?
Well, she didn't say, look, and she didn't even say, I've got to take a shit. I had a big lunch. We got to find, because that's one thing.
Things are moving.
If you're like, I got to go number 2, I get it. If you just got to take a piss, you can do that anywhere. Right?
Where was she gonna go to the bathroom on the dirt road? We don't even know why they were on the dirt road.
They were going camping, is all they say.
They're going camping on Murder Mountain. They're not even using that as a bypass. So where was she going to take a shit while they were camping?
These are important questions. And notice...
I found it so irritating, like they're making fun of women. I have to go for tinkle.
And she never goes. There's never a point...
She reabsorbs for 2 days until she gets macheted.
I
She sweated it out. She walked it off.
As a teacher, I've had kids go, Mr. Doherty, can I go to the bathroom? And I'm like, let me just finish this and I'll let you go. Then I go back to them and say, okay, you can go now. They're like, that's okay. What do you mean that's okay?
I already went.
That's 100%. Are you Rupert the monkey boy from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
I love Rupert.
Where he goes, may I go to the bathroom? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do not tell me I'm okay.
I will give your son half of what's in my bank account right now if he will, in fact, legally change his name to Rupert.
Rupert the monkey boy?
The monkey boy will be his new middle name.
Absolutely. Hyphenated. Let me say, so what I was saying is he got the extended scene of opening up the fridges and looking at weird pickled, obviously some horrendous shit. And when he pulls out the dirty old Tupperware, I'm like, are you really going to open up some rancid? I don't want to open up the stuff in my own fridge. Okay? I'm not exploring some crazy mutant cannibals refrigerator to see what stuff has got freezer burn. I'm not doing it.
I got to tell. I was once out in the desert in Joshua Tree with a couple of my homies. And we found one of those old, like 1950s refrigerators, like half in a hole out in the desert. The kind that would lock and you can't unlock from the inside.
Trapped. Yes.
And we all stared at it for a while. And I'm like, don't open it. I was like, if you open it, let me know because I'm going to stand back. And they were like, let's open it. I was like, oh my God, there's going to be like a 5-year-old that's been missing since like 1959 or something. Mutant. So I was like, oh shit. So I I ran like 100 yards away and turned my back until it was nothing.
Well, thank Jesus for that.
But I was like, oh shit, this is one of those murder fridges.
In a horror movie, that would be the inciting incident. You open that up.
That's how it started. I was like, this is how this shit starts. How many times have I said that?
Right.
I feel like I've said that many times this year, and yet I went right ahead with whatever I was doing.
I remember as a teenager, there'd be multiple times where I'd be like, I'd literally say to myself, I shouldn't do this. Why am I doing this? And then I'd still do it. That's bad.
But this is a bad idea.
It is.
As you're doing it. I feel like at least I've learned enough that even if I think whoever the freak is who's trying to get me is dead, that I'm just going to stand there with my knife ready to go until the police pull me away. I'm not turning my back. I don't care if he's in 3 pieces. I'm going to tape each piece to a wall. No. And I'm not turning my back. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be like, fucking what's her name in Trilogy of Terror? Just squat there holding the knife.
Absolutely.
Karen Black. With a butcher knife.
You.
And I'm like, no, I don't believe you're dead.
Look at your notes. Movies. What else do you have for Wrong Turn?
I have ear. Can you help me find the bathroom? Oh my God.
There's an extended scene.
I told you my moral of the story. And okay, how about this? They go to leave, right?
Yes.
And they why don't they grab the hillbilly's gun and fucking shoot him while he's dead?
I wondered that. He's sitting there sleeping with a double-barreled shotgun in his hands. Right. And they don't even know that they miraculously, the hillbillies arrive home with one of their kills, their friend, and 2 of them jump under the bed and one goes into like the closet
with her new boyfriend.
With the boyfriend, right. So there's 2 under the bed, 2 in the closet. They come back with the hillbillies like chopping up the body. They don't show us. Thank goodness for that, at least. And then time passes. We don't know if this is an afternoon nap, if this is the next morning. We don't know anything. But you're right.
All we know is the next day is they've chopped off 3/4 of some girl's leg and her forearm.
Correct.
And then did what? Like licked it or ate it?
We don't know.
They didn't cook it. They all passed out. And where's Hillfolk 2 and 3? You got Larry, you got Mo, and you got Curly.
Correct.
Mo is asleep with a gun in this like shanty shack. Who knows where everybody is? But I'll tell you, they've already killed my friend. I'm going to take the gun and just blast you. And then I'm going to blast the next one. Show's over.
Well, and it's seemingly like in the thrilling conclusion, the 3 dudes have been killed a lot. Let's just say that. They've dropped out of trees, been hit with axes, been lit on fire. They've had a rough go of it. But they're still getting up. And
they have like crazy curvature of the spine.
Yes, scoliosis.
And falling out of trees on their lumpuses, and they pop back up.
I thought the one skinny laughing dude was dead because he fell out of the goddamn tree. And then later he pops up again. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And then he pops up again. He literally gets chopped in the neck with an axe.
Yes.
In a building that they are staring at and watch him explode. And then he shows up in the after credits dancing around.
Correct. I believe he is actually in the sequels. That one of the hillbillies is in the sequel. I haven't seen any of the sequels, but that's my understanding.
They lurch around the forest like Frankenstein, but somehow can climb a tree like a lemur.
Yes. And let's that scene was bonkers. So they find the 3 surviving, kids, teenagers, whatever they are, 20-year-olds. Find the a fire tower or whatever, some kind of watchtower, some shit.
You knew they were going to light that on fire as soon as you saw it, right?
Well, because they're carrying torches, right? The mutants had torches. So, of course,
they're like the angry villagers.
They are, with pitchforks. So they find a radio and are like, hey, help us. Can anybody help us? And they're like, well, where are you? I don't know. You're in the frickin' one giant watchtower in the frickin' forest. Tell them that. I'm in the watchtower.
Bear what the road. Exactly. And what's powering the radio that's been off for God knows
Solar?
how?
Who knows what's going You're right. There's like a cord that was going down and the mutants yanked the cord, which means they couldn't use the radio anymore.
Going down to what?
A windmill? A coal furnace? I don't
under the ground.
Hydroelectric? I don't know how they're powering any of this shit. So the mutants light the watchtower on fire. And they're like, we're going to leap from this thing, which is like hundreds of feet in the air, presumably. It's freakish. It is gigantic how tall this thing is.
Yes.
And they leap into a tree. So now they're like walking across like branches for like 20 minutes. Like hanging on like Tarzan and Cheetah. Was that the Tarzan's monkey friend?
I've been in a lot of these bigger forests now, not in Georgia. There's no like lower limbs for these 1,000-year-old trees.
Right.
You might have to go up a while to get up to these limbs. It's not like the tree in your backyard.
Right.
So how are the Squirrel brothers climbing up there?
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery. I have to say, Chicken Man looked like Salieri at the end of Amadeus. I just want to share that.
First of all, which one's Chicken Man? Just
The
for my
one who
notes.
survives everything.
Okay, because they actually each have crazy nicknames, which they are never only if you read like the script or something do you know their names, because they don't speak, they just kind of gibber and grunt and things like that. So, but I
and
mean,
wear the one article of clothing their entire life.
when you saw their feet, it looked like one guy was wearing like Converse All-Stars or something. I mean, they looked like they had like normal shoes. They weren't wearing like moccasins or some shit.
Well, instead of going to Walmart, they like wreck a Mercedes.
I mean, is that
and
must
and
be
hope
what they
that
do.
the shoes fit.
They're not hitting the Walmart, right? Who's to say? Although I'll tell you what, if you go to any Walmart, I guarantee there's at least 2 cannibal inbred mutants roaming the halls. Standard.
It's 100%. It's
100%. I've often said, it's like, Becky will send me to go shopping at the Walmart because it's cheap as hell. So we've sold our soul for the cheap produce.
I gave up
at the
too.
Walmart.
I gave up. It's close to work. What do you want me to do?
We try to do what's right.
I don't go to Hobby Lobby, so that's something.
That's something. But on the rare occasions where Becky's had to go and shop there, she can't take it. She runs out because the lines are crazy. People behind the registers are mutants as well. It's a total freak show. It's a freak show. Things just thrown on shelves. You don't know what you're gonna get. Anyway, if you shop at Walmart, you get what you get. So
you get what you get. You don't throw it's mutants inside, mutants outside, mutants stocking the shelves.
It can literally be the Beverly Hills Walmart. It can be the Abu Dhabi Walmart, okay? And it's still going to be peopled and, just freaks and mutants. So it's a rule. I'm sorry to say.
I'm frightened to go to my Walmart because one time I was leaving and apparently some dude had like filled his cart up with crap and just walked out of the store. And you have security chasing him and they're yelling at him, taking pictures while he's loading his car up. And the security guard was this tiny little Latina chick. And all of a sudden, here comes this fucking gangbanger. He's pulling up his shirt and slapping his belly so you can see his gang
Tats,
shit.
right?
He's gonna throw it down with the dude stealing everything and loading his car up. And I was like, Aaron, stop looking, get it. And I'd have to go past them to get into my car. I'm like, you gotta stop fucking shopping at this Walmart. It's too
take your life
spicy.
in your hand.
It's too freaking spicy. I was like, oy. They
it
did
is
not
the ultimate
come to
wrong
blows.
turn.
But now they had to de-escalate Mr. Gangbanger because he thought the Steeler dude was being disrespectful to the security guard.
Oh,
it was a situation.
It's a situation.
Anyway, it doesn't happen when I go to Target.
It does not. It does not. But it's more expensive at Target.
It is more expensive at Target.
So get what you get.
Why does the house explode at the end?
The one dude crashes. Elijah Dushku has been captured by the mutants. They've got her tied up to the bed. I don't know who knows what they're up to. And Desmond Harrington stole their truck and smashes into the front of it. Right? Or does he throw the gas cans at it first? Does he light it on fire first? That's what it is. The park ranger or whatever who the mutants kill had like big gas cans on the back of his truck. So he was lighting their shit on fire. And then when
this thing blew up like it was frickin' Chernobyl.
Correct.
As a person whose car has caught on fire and I had to watch it burn.
Yes.
There was no mushroom cloud. Let's just put that out there.
Right. It's
my Jeep Wrangler did not cause a mushroom cloud to hang over the great city of Long Beach.
They did not fill your car with rocket fuel. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently, because that's what the hillbilly, their car runs on the moonshine.
They do.
But they would all have rickets because they're only eating people's fingers and toes. I saw no fresh vegetables.
Well, they
would have rickets. They would have scurvy.
Yep. It's not a well-balanced meal.
Palates. Yeah.
Right. Maybe that's the issue. Your teeth fall out when you have scurvy. Little known fact. Not just inbred.
Dude had one tooth.
He had one tooth. One tooth. How do I get back on the highway? I don't know. I've only got one goddamn tooth.
And his job is literally just to sit in the doorway of the gas station that has no gas.
There's a sign. You have to pull off the road to go in there. It says like, last chance gas. And you roll in there, it's like, I don't have any gas. I don't have any phone. I have a phone, but it doesn't work. You making fun of me, boy?
You making fun of me, boy? You got a pretty
Anyway.
mouth there, boy.
You got a pretty mouth. Squeal like a pig. What else you got? Anything else?
I got nothing else.
I'm
I
tap
got
city.
nothing else.
So let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Yes.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Is there something about the guy with one tooth?
That was his actual tooth. So that's something. Eliza Dushku.
I thought maybe the production paid for a single implant.
Do you know what's funny? In Deliverance, exactly. He had 0 teeth, but they passed the hat around and got him one. They glued one in there. In Deliverance, there's the famous dueling banjo scene, and there's this crazy inbred looking dude playing the banjo. What's funny is that dude couldn't actually play the banjo. So if you watch, it's another dude putting his hands through the guy's arms and playing the banjo.
Shut your mouth.
Isn't that
well,
wild?
Isn't it the guys who did the dueling banjos? Aren't they the people who did the Beverly Hillbillies?
In real life?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be.
Keep talking. I'm looking it up.
Eliza Dushku, I like this note. Eliza Dushku did a lot of her own stunts for the movie. Okay, a lot? Interesting. How do you quantify a lot?
But not all of them.
Not all of them. More than 0. Emmanuel Shrieky dislocated her shoulder performing her fall through the trees, and you can actually hear the shoulder pop on the production track in the theatrical sound mix. So that's good. Have to listen to that.
I'm wrong. Aaron is wrong.
I knew that wasn't correct, by the way. I just wanted you to look for it.
I wanted it to be true. What if we just believe that it's true?
Several
Drugs and something or other.
Could be. Several of the cast and crew were covered in poison ivy throughout the filming of the movie. This was due to the chairs being placed in what was first thought to be a group of weeds, only to later be discovered as a patch of the rash-causing plants. Womp, womp, womp. Very upsetting. This film is the only one in the series that does not have any sex or nudity in it. So all the rest are straight porn, evidently. So there you go.
Yeah, they're like, we'll take care of that in the next one.
They did have the off-camera Hummer. So that's something.
Implied nudity.
Implied sex. Exactly. And really, the violence is kind of implied as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple scenes, but for the most part, you don't see much. Yeah. Director Rob Schmidt said on the commentary that he considers this film to be his own personal tribute to classics like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. Look at that.
Part 2.
You keep saying part 2.
Yeah, we know it's a tribute to The Hills Have Eyes, bastard.
You bastard. Unlike the sequels, this is the second one they talk about. This first movie doesn't have any nudity, although in earlier versions of the script, they tried to include some. Like random, like, hey, maybe we should just have sex over here. Or how about we bathe naked in a river for a while? Things like that. They got rid of
the hikers who fell, their clothes were all torn off on the way down.
They also talked about Jessie, the main character's clothes being torn off from her when she's tied to the bed. So that's not nice. We don't want that.
No.
Upsetting.
No.
The promotion of this film was minimal due to the MPAA deeming the majority of TV spots and trailers too intense for the viewers. See, it's one of those where they're like, it's too upsetting.
That would mean that the trailers are better than the movie, is what I'm hearing you say.
It could be. In the opening credits, on Chris's car radio, a preacher can be heard saying, "If you plant your seed into your own kid, you anger God." I appreciate the preacher feeling he had to mention that. So,
I'm sorry, who is the preacher preaching to? Are there a whole bunch of these sleeper cell hillbilly cannibals?
yes.
Or are they just telling the three brothers to stop touching each other's bits and pieces?
Either one. Some of column A. They say this is foreshadowing because the movie's about inbred hillbillies. So there you go.
I'm pretty sure everybody who went to see this already knew that. Was it a surprise?
It was. We didn't know what it was about. We had no idea. I think that's about it. This is all nonsense. Let's look at the cast and crew, shall we? Let's see. The director was Rob Schmidt. You know him from such things as Wrong Turn, Crime and Punishment in Suburbia in 2000, Speed of Life in 1999. I'm not familiar with these, so I'm going to move on. Let's see. The cast, we talked about this briefly at the beginning of the podcast. Eliza Dushku played Jessie Burlingame. You know her from such things as Bring It On in 2000. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in 2001.
Didn't see that.
Wrong Turn in 2003. And
I've seen that.
She was in 27 episodes of The Dollhouse in 2009, 2010.
Unfamiliar.
I remember her, first thing I saw her in was that movie True Lies, that Schwarzenegger movie with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I saw that back in the day.
Where she was like the daughter. She was like really young at that point.
Okay.
Jeremy Sisto, you know him from Wrong Turn in 2003. He was Elton in Clueless in 1995.
Yeah.
He was in Suicide Kings in 1997.
I think I saw that.
He was in The Upsetting 13 in 2003.
Did not see that.
Where it's about two 13-year-old girls and their sexual escapades. It was very upsetting.
I hear enough of this shit at work. Next.
Yeah, we know. It's not. And of course, multiple episodes on 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under, brilliant.
Good stuff. Emmanuel Shrieky played Carly. You know her from Wrong Turn in 2003. In 2008, she was in You Don't Mess with the Zohan. That was the Adam Sandler movie.
Did not see.
She was in 100 Girls in 2000.
Is that a
Waiting, the Ryan Reynolds flick in 2005.
All right.
Lately, she was in 43 episodes of Superman and Lois on the CW. And of course, I knew her.
Is there still a CW?
I think it's still around, isn't it? Maybe not. And of course, she was in a bunch of episodes of Entourage.
Oh, yeah. I never watched that.
And let's see. Desmond Harrington played Chris Flynn. You know him from Dexter. He was in 72 episodes as Detective Joseph Joey Quinn from 2008 to 2013.
I love Dexter. I thought that was great. Speaking of 6 Feet Under.
Oh, yeah. Michael C. Hall was in both.
Yeah.
He was in The Neon Demon in 2016.
Unfamiliar.
He was in 6 episodes of Sneaky Pete and 8 episodes of Rescue Me in 2007. That was the what the hell's his name? Dennis Leary, the Dennis Leary firefighter show.
Okay.
So good stuff. And I think that's about it. Do you want to know about any of the other Three Finger, One Eye, or Sawtooth?
What about Chicken Head?
No, none of them were called Chicken Head. I think it might be Three Fingers.
Have Manny, Mo, and Jack done anything that we know?
That could be. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm done with it. Let's look at the review, shall we? Wrong Turn on Rotten Tomatoes. Currently, 41%. You know what the audience gave it?
52.
54. Look at you. Shockingly, there are a number of top critics who discuss this, but nobody that we love too much. But I'm just going to
No Rex Reed? God
no
damn
Rex
it.
Reed. No Bill Harris. Very upsetting. Let's see. Wesley Morris from the Boston Globe says, a stultifying blend of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Boot Camp, and maybe the Blair Witch Project. Wrong Turn is profoundly less than the sum of its influences. 1 out of 4.
No.
Boom.
Well, the number's right.
I'm looking for...
There was nothing Blair Witch about it. What kind of nonsense is that?
Nick Shager of Lessons of Darkness says, headed in only one direction, straight into the toilet. Great D. That's a good one.
Straight and to the point.
I'm looking for anybody who's had a positive review. Here we go. John Monahan of the Detroit Free Press says, while this movie doesn't have the warped sensibilities of 1977 similarly plotted The Hills Have Eyes, it has decent performances and genuine suspense. So there you go. Aaron, what is your rating for
flat performances? I don't know what the hell they're talking about. They were very flat performances.
Okay, fair.
And zero suspense.
Oh.
And I'm going to give it 1.25 my boot in your ass, whoever came up with this terrible ripoff of The Hills Have Eyes.
I think that's an overreaction. If I'm being honest, it's an overreaction.
I feel it's an underreaction.
It should be even worse. I think, look,
take it back.
I often say, when people ask me about, do you like this slasher or that slasher? This is what I often say. This is a perfectly acceptable slasher of that time. It ain't Shakespeare. We got to grade it on a sliding scale. You know what
that sounds like? It was perfectly acceptable for Judy Garland to be in blackface and sing Mammy in the original A Star Is Born, because that's what everyone did.
Is that what happened in the original Star Is Born? I gotta look this up. Shit.
It's not Mammy, but she does appear in blackface.
Well, that's like the jazz singer. Is that the one where it's Jimmy Durante doing his blackface?
No, it's not Jimmy. It's Al Jolson. I finally watched it, and let me tell you, I don't think it was any better than the remake. Both of them are,
which also had blackface. Only that was in the 80s. Neil Diamond, what were you thinking? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is Robert Frost did not do a first pass on this script. Okay, we have to accept that. It's fine. I would say it's about a 2.75 on the toilet meter. It's
generous. Is this one of these like young little Kevin's
no.
2000 and something dream?
Yes. 100%. No, it's
saw
like,
it on your birthday and you wept because you were so
I
happy.
wept because I was there alone. Look, if you're flipping channels, it's Halloween night and you come across Wrong Turn, you could do a lot worse, is my attitude. This is
you
not...
could do a lot better.
You could.
Let's hope
that's
not your
that.
only choice on Halloween.
I thought it made some interesting choices. I'm always down for Cannibal Hillbilly Mutants. It's fine. It's not a Rob Zombie. If this was Rob Zombie's Wrong Turn, then I'd be out.
Wrong choice.
Wrong career choice. Exactly. So that's what I'm feeling. You think this is a run from the room screaming, and I'm thinking if you're flipping channels and you're in that kind of mood, it's fine.
My thing is more like, why bother? Because there's something better to watch. At the very least, if you watch the Hills Have Eyes, the original.
But people watch the original Hills Have Eyes and are running from the room screaming, watching that. This is
that can't be right.
Absolutely.
That's
what I'm saying.
Juicy.
I'm just saying.
Those were legitimately disturbing, and you had a story about why they're so jacked up. That's a great movie.
Fair enough.
It is amusing and freaky. It is. I don't want them coming to get me. And to this day, if I drive through an area with limited cell service, I was like, I don't want to be a hillbilly bride. I don't want to be a dirt hole bride.
A dirt hole bride. Fair enough. No, we don't. Any last thoughts on Wrong Turn, for God's sake?
Hopefully, this is the last time I see this.
You're saying you took a wrong turn into the theater, is what you're saying.
It was my recommendation. Oh,
I know.
Peter,
I was shocked.
Me again, you bastards.
Well, it's funny because the only way we could watch it is YouTube, which is usually reserved for if I don't want to watch. Just the way the director intended. No, it's like usually we've had to watch like Alligator. We had to go on YouTube. To watch The Legacy, we had to go on YouTube.
Which is shocking.
Yes.
The Legacy is much better than this, and we had to resort to the YouTube in it to find it.
It's just weird. It's weird which movies are totally not streaming at all. So, anywho, moving on.
I don't want to talk about this movie anymore, but I do want to mention.
Please.
I've recently did a 2-week binge on Bates Motel for the second time.
Yep.
It's dynamite. They won their final season. It won 16 Emmys.
It won 16 Emmys?
It won 16 Emmys. It's how Norman becomes Norman. And every episode is, you're like, because Vera Farmiga, or whatever her name is.
You keep calling her Vera Farmiga, which is not a name.
What is her name?
Vera Farmiga, which is a real name.
Vera Farmiga is such an astonishing actress, and she is so good. She acts so freaking crazy, like a mother of a sociopath would be, but then she pulls it back in, so then you start to feel bad. The characters have such great arcs in this series. If you haven't seen it, fucking watch it. Don't say that you like horror movies. I mean, the acting and the story is amazing. I'm still on a high, but I am also free because this weekend I watched it every day for like 8 hours. So.
Okay. Is there a crazy aunt that is Norman's actual mother? That's my question.
No. I will tell you, I like this better.
Not canon. Not canon.
Psycho 2.
Not canon. Anyway, so thank you very much. See us all across the social media. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. We're on X. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. You may be watching us on YouTube at this very moment.
Maybe.
So, you can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I'm just going to tell you that I am on the Instagram. Probably too much. Not as much as TikTok. But I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I have some artwork at First Dib and Artsy, Aaron Doherty, Instant Dreams Galleries. Boom. Buy something.
Make a purchase. Make a purchase, damn it. This is a free show. The least you could do is make a purchase. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. As you know, we like to go to the interwebs to share our friends' thoughts and feelings about things we've done lately. Let's see. Our buddy Randy Burrows talking about our Psycho 2 episode, ironically.
Speak of the devil.
this is what he says. Psycho 2 rocks. It just suffers from getting entirely lost in the shadow of the OG. What do you think about that?
I don't
What
hate
do you
Psycho
think?
2.
I don't hate it either.
Psycho 2.
We enjoyed it.
It's just goofy enough.
It's goofy fun, for God's sakes. Anywho, next week, we're talking about the science
What are we
fiction.
talking about?
Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, the original classic with Adrienne Barbeau, directed by Wes Craven. Swamp Thing. He's
with
doing
Louis Jourdan. If I recall.
Jourdan. I love 80s era Louis Jourdan when he's just like F it. That's basically 80s Louis Jourdan is like 70s Ray Milland, where you're just like, just write me a check. I'll be an Octopussy. I'll be in Swamp Thing.
I was an international film star. Women would throw their panties at me. I was in Gigi, but now I'm in the Swamp Thing.
I'm in the Swamp Thing. So you can watch it on Prime Video with a subscription. Also on Tubi.
What?
Just to
Do you
Prime
see
Video.
those MFers are now putting ads in our shows?
Unless you pay extra. Yeah, it's
I feel like I've paid enough. Eventually, I will be getting all my movies from like Temu. Switch
from
it
Temu. Could be. You can watch it on Tubi with ads, on Plex with ads, maybe Prime Video with ads. The way things are going, very upsetting. So,
this is my new plan.
Please,
we'll only do movies that are on bootleg on YouTube.
That's the only way. That's the only. We'll call it scrounging the YouTube or some shit. Anywho, send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So, thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, children.